Hello everyone, my name is Sanni-t and I'll be presenting to you my thesis project, the PrintO Bot. You already saw a glimpse of it in Andy's presentation. So to give you a short introduction, the PrintO Bot is a robot that can print on any material that's reasonably flat. And the best part is you can make it using your regular inkjet printer. So this is a regular inkjet printer. It's awesome. Thanks to this regular inkjet printer, you can print anything at home. You don't have to go outside to a print workstation. It's awesome. But we're still printing only on papers, just regular, plain papers. My ambitions cannot be contained inside of an 8.5 by 11-inch paper. I love printing. I want to print on large fabrics to make my own tablecloth. I want to print on wooden panels to make decorative items for my wall. I want to print my own rangoli on the floor. So to do all that, I have to make use of an industrial service that I cannot do it at my home. I'm transported back to the 1970s where a printer used to be a person with a printing machine. So to allow me to do all of this, I made my own version of the desktop printer. I took a printer, took it apart, turned it inside out, and converted it into the PrintO Bot. So as you can see, the PrintO Bot is basically a hacked inkjet printer that's been put on wheels. Now you might ask why I chose to select an existing printer. Well, first of all, the printer already prints. And I didn't have to think about the complicated mechanism of transforming a digital image into a physical print. And also, it's way cheaper to hack the printer than to make one with the same precision that it prints. And you find them all the time in junk shops. So now, how do I make it? Let's quickly glance through the mechanism and parts of an inkjet printer. First, you have the paper feeder over there. That thing literally pushes the paper inside when it's time to print. Then once the paper is inside, the paper sensor over there senses if it's in or not, and then tells the printer, okay, hey, the paper's in and you should start printing now. Once it starts printing, the ink cartridges over here in yellow, they move over the printer to print, and the paper moving motor over there keeps on moving the motor. So once I got that down, I got acquainted to all the parts of the printer, I made a hacking plan. It's an overview of how my robot would look. First thing was to take the ink cartridges outside of its housing, so it's now facing the material, so it can print on it. And the second was to put it on wheels, so instead of moving the material, it will move itself. To accomplish that, I hacked the printer in 3 parts. First one, to take the ink cartridges outside of their housing. This is how the ink cartridges are placed normally. I simply soldered some wires onto them and connected to the housing, so now they sit outside of the printer while they're still connected to the printer. I shouldn't say simply though, because it was a lot of hard work. The second hack was to make the printer believe that the paper is still there so it can start printing. Normally, there's a lever over there that you can see when it moves when the paper goes inside. And that's how the printer knows that the paper is there. So I made my own version of paper detector. This is a micro switch in the top right corner. And every time the printer expects a page inside, the paper feeder mechanism actually hits the switch, and that's how my circuit knows that the printer is expecting a paper. So you can see down there, there's a blue signal that's signal from my switch, and the yellow part is the fake signal that I give to the printer that says like, hey, yeah, the paper's in, just go and print away. And the last part was to make a 4-wheel chassis. I made use of high torque motors so it can carry the weight of the printer while printing fast. And just a finishing touch, I made a little housing for the ink cartridge, so now you can see the cartridges outside while it's connected through wires. And now you can see the PrintO Bot in work. Well, it works, but it wasn't that easy making it. The hardest part was actually keeping the printer alive when I was modifying it. I felt like I was a surgeon treating a patient. The printer is built so tightly around itself that you try to modify even a single part, the printer will detect it and it will stop printing. Well, stopping the print is probably the it's not that bad. You can actually end up destroying the printer as well. The way I was figuring out how the printer was communicating was by tapping onto signals, and it wasn't that easy because there were so many things going on, and it took me like 2 weeks to figure out a very simple problem because I was missing one signal that was telling the paper sensor when to start working. And this was something I made to take the ink cartridges outside of its housing, and I didn't end up using, but it cost $100. So lastly, I plan to use Omni wheels now, since as you can see now it moves only in one direction, and these wheels can allow me to move all over the materials, so it's no longer restricted to size. And also a nice height adjustment of ink head would be good. That was pretty much it, and let me end my presentation by showing you some of the prints that I made.